My girlfriend, 27 female, did the sweetest thing for my brother, 9, and now I know she's the one. My parents moved him to another school towards the end of the school year, and he had trouble making friends. He still invited his whole class to his birthday party. That was on Friday, but nobody came. None of the kids. It was really heartbreaking to see all of the empty tables when he was really looking forward to it. My girlfriend of 4 years decided to call her brothers, asking them to come over, and she took off to go pick up her nephews. They're a little older, but they were still really nice to my brother. She called up her friends with kids. It wasn't a ton of people, but it was way more than before. All thanks to her. My little brother was so happy playing in the jumper with her nephews and brothers. They were all play wrestling with him. He had such a good time. It was nice that everyone came and was being so nice to him, but I'm also just super grateful to my girlfriend because she made it happen. I was watching her the whole time going, wow, I want to marry this woman. She's the one for me. Now I'm literally browsing online for engagement rings. Some comments people pulled. Your little brother was playing with his future family. I love this. Gave me all the feels. I wish you the best life ever. Make sure you have her back, my bro. Good women can greatly improve every aspect of your life. As someone who recently had his 5-year-old not have anyone show up to his birthday party and saw him get crushed, yeah, she not just pulled off something amazing, but may have made a life-changing difference. Now, how are you going to learn what her ring size is, brother? OP's response, I'm sorry to hear about that. It's a really heartbreaking feeling, especially for a little kid. Hope you guys were able to do something to cheer him up. My dad and I were thinking of taking him somewhere, so we didn't focus on that, but luckily my girlfriend came to the rescue. That is a good question. I don't know if I could just take one of the rings she already has. She's got a bunch of them, and find a place I could maybe figure out the size. If anyone's got ideas on how to figure this out covertly, I'm open to hearing it. So the update. So this happened June 20th of 2022, this year, and this update came July. So less than a month later, July 6th, less than a month later. Update. My girlfriend did the sweetest thing for my brother, and now I know she's the one. She said yes. I proposed to her on Sunday after we decided to go on a camping trip. Y'all, she would not even let me finish my speech that I've spent all week practicing for nothing. LOL. I know some of you were telling me ways to figure out her ring size without her getting suspicious, but I just wasn't built for that level of stealth, so I brought in her sister to help me. My girlfriend, oh sorry, my bad, fiance,
Yep.
was crying. I was crying. She said yes, and that's all that matters to me. She's made me the happiest guy. Seriously, I'm still beyond happy it all worked out. We haven't been able to stop smiling at each other anytime we're in the same room, and I love it, LOL. All that's left is the wedding and the rest of our lives together.
One of the things that really got me is the comment about that's a life-changing moment, because it really is. And that's why I think so highly of teachers, because when you're working with these children and when you make a really positive impact, that can really stay with them forever.
Yeah.
And it's such a
Literally
beautiful
forever.
thing.
Like actually forever.
Am I the asshole for stealing money from my broke-ass boyfriend? Disclaimer is not my story time, listed on me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for 6 months. When we first met, he got fired from his job, so I decided to start paying for a few things. For example, every time we go to dinner, or sometimes when we go on dates. But it's gotten to the point where I'm literally paying for everything. And now, he doesn't even say thank you for it. He just expects it. Every time I tell him to look for a new job, he starts making up excuses. It's like he got comfortable having me pay for everything. One day I went to his wallet and I took out a 20. And then I did it the following week. I used that money to pay for his stuff. Part 2 is up. Am I the asshole for stealing money from my broke-ass boyfriend? Disclaimer is not my story time, listed on me on Instagram. By the first month, I had stolen $100 from his wallet and he didn't even notice. But because I was paying for everything in the relationship, I was using that money to pay for his half of everything. He just didn't know it. My job was hiring, and when I told him to apply, he said no. He said he wasn't in a rush to get a new job. Meanwhile, I'm paying for everything. The worst part is he asked me if he could move in with me because he can't afford his apartment anymore. His parents are not wanting to pay for it. I love him, but I don't know if I should say yes. By the way, I'm still stealing money from his wallet. Should I stop or should I keep going? Or should I break up with him?
The girl who gave me my Powerball at Taco Bell today told me that I was really pretty, and that made me feel really good because I've been so mean to myself lately, and for what? I've just been going through like a little rough patch and having some personal drama, and I'm realizing as I'm sitting here eating my beans that that in order to be treated fairly or justly, for whatever reason, like society or somebody has taught me that in order to be treated fairly or as a human being, I need to be perfect. I have to have the perfect personality, and I have to be perfectly behaved at all times, and I have to look perfect. I don't know why, but like this, my inner voice has just been so critical of me, and it started with my personality, and then it kind of turned inwards towards my body. And so I've just been like really, really mean to myself. And then she told me I was pretty, and then I started realizing how mean why am I getting emotional? I'm just so sad that I've been like so unkind to myself. And she told me I'm pretty, and I'm like crying in my car. It actually isn't my car.
My dad is marrying my ex-girlfriend. He's 38, I'm 24, and she's 26. This is all such a mess, and I really don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it. For some backstory, my dad isn't my biological father. He and my egg donor started dating when I was 2 and got married when I was 4, and then got divorced when I was 16. Honestly, I was far closer to my dad than I was to my egg donor, and my egg donor would regularly abuse the both of us. After the divorce, he tried to stay in touch with me, but my egg donor purposely isolated him from me because she was so mad that he finally became confident enough in himself to escape from her abuse. She was able to get a protective order placed on both of us to completely limit contact after the divorce, and then financially blackmailed me to continue to isolate me from him while she paid for my college. As soon as I graduated from college when I was 21, I completely cut off contact with her and reached out to him again, even though it had been over 5 years since we last spoke at that point. I was very happy to have him in my life again. My ex-girlfriend and I dated while I was in college. I was pretty low-key about the relationship because I was pretty sure if my mom ever found out I was a lesbian, she would cut me off completely. We started dating when I was 18 and dated for almost 3 years. I also never told my dad about her, since we broke up only a few months after we reconnected. He did comfort me through the breakup, but he never met her or really knew anything about her. That brings us to last night. My dad and I have a standing dinner date for every other Wednesday, but we've been so busy for the last month, so I haven't seen him since before Thanksgiving. He told me he was bringing his girlfriend to tag along, and I have to admit I was both sad because it wouldn't be just the two of us like it normally is, but also I was excited to finally meet her. Unfortunately, once I reached the restaurant, I'm absolutely floored to see my dad sitting there with my ex-girlfriend. And when my dad introduces her to me, he introduces her as his fiance, and he tells me that he wanted me to be the first to know. Apparently they got engaged 2 weeks ago, but hadn't told anyone except for her parents, who I've even met before. I must have had a shocked look on my face because he starts going into this whole thing about how he knows that I might be uncomfortable with him dating a girl who's so close in age to me, and how the age gap concerned him too, especially because of my egg donor. Well, I would never compare him to her since she was literally a groomer who started dating her tutoring student when he was 17 and then married him when he was 19. The entire time I was talking to him though, I was staring right at my ex-girlfriend in complete shock. It ended up being way too weird for me, so I just told him that I needed to go after like 5 minutes. My dad texted me again today to tell me how sorry he was to ambush me with that information, and that he was sorry it came off the way it had. He told me again that he understood if the age gap made me uncomfortable, but he hoped that I didn't think he was some kind of creep for dating a woman so much younger than him. He then told me that he felt like he was truly happy for the first time in the last 20 years, and he hoped that I could come to accept this, even if it took me a long time. I, on the other hand, am just completely lost. I'm pretty sure he doesn't know that we dated, and I don't really know whether or not I should tell him. I don't have anyone to go to about this since he's literally the person that I would vent to normally. What should I do? Part 2, my dad is marrying my ex-girlfriend. So I ended up texting my ex, Steph, and like 5 minutes later, she called me. We talked for like half an hour, and she basically told me that she was just as surprised as I was, and that she had no idea that my dad was also her boyfriend. She said that she was still reeling and was planning on telling him soon, but didn't know how to do it. My dad doesn't have any social media except for LinkedIn, and doesn't really have any pictures of me in his house. I also don't really use social media very often in an effort to keep a woman who gave birth to me out of my life. The only picture I've ever seen is one from my college graduation, and that one is just in his office. So I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. So at the end of the call with Steph, she told me that she was going to talk to him that night. I agreed and stayed by my phone, and I never got a call from my dad, which I thought was weird. I called Steph in the morning and asked her if she talked to him. She said that she had, and that he just needed some space right now. She said it would be best if I didn't talk to him about it. I thought that was really weird, so I decided to text my dad anyway. I asked him if Steph had talked to him, and he said that they had. I asked him if he wanted to talk about it, and he said that he would prefer not to, and that he thought it would be best if we just took a step back from our relationship. He said that he was really dealing with a lot, and this was all extremely hard for him. I have to say, I was pretty heartbroken when he said that, and it really got me thinking. A lot of you asked me if I'd be okay with my dad marrying Steph, and honestly, I really wouldn't be. I don't really like the idea of him dating anyone just because of how easily he's manipulated. I knew that he had been in a relationship, but I'd always told him that I didn't really want to hear about it, and that all that mattered was that he was happy. So we never really talked about his romantic life. However, I realized that even if I wasn't happy about it, and even if I seriously hated it, I wouldn't want to risk losing my dad over it. He mattered to me way more. So I decided to give him a day, and then went over to his place on Sunday. He looked pretty uncomfortable when he saw me, but I wasn't taking no for an answer, so he let me in. We sat in silence for a few moments before I basically just told him that we needed to talk about this. He was pretty quiet, and he was pretty much sitting as far as he could from me. So I told him that I really didn't want my previous relationship with Steph to change my relationship with him, and that I was okay with him getting married. He looked kind of confused on what being friends with Steph had to do with any of it. It was my turn to be confused, so I asked him if Steph had talked to him again. He said she had, and that he didn't really know how to deal with the information. It really seemed like he was tiptoeing around the subject and wouldn't even look me in the eyes. So I finally just asked him what Steph said. She told him that I was in love with him. My crazy manipulative ex really told him that I had admitted to my sexual attraction for him years ago. Apparently, her story was that we were friends, not girlfriends, just friends, when I was in college, and I told her my secret. I was pretty appalled to learn that she said that, but I had told her about how the woman who gave birth to me had claimed that my dad and I had an illicit and inappropriate relationship to get the protective order. She knew that would be a sensitive topic for my dad, and apparently she encouraged him to take some space away from me. At that point, I was enraged. I couldn't believe that she would really do something like that. After that, I told him the truth. I told him about how Steph and I had dated years ago and how I was pretty sure she made all that up so I wouldn't tell him. He believed me pretty quickly, especially when I showed him the picture of the present that she gave me for our anniversary. My dad didn't really say anything besides just apologizing to me over and over again and telling me how sorry he was for believing her. I told him that it was okay and we just hugged it out. After that, he called up Steph and asked her to come over.